Now for the division of fractions. Division of fractions might be a little bit more difficult. However, if you understand that you invert the divisor, and what is the divisor? The divisor is that value that you're dividing into a number. In other words, I've got 4/5 divided by, and this is a symbol that we would use, 1/8. Now to work that one out, what you have to do is to invert the divisor. I will have 4 then fifths times, now I invert the divisor, 8/1 equals, now I multiply just like I multiply my fractions just like I did before. The numerators, I would have 32 then over 5. That is an improper fraction because the numerator is higher than the denominator. What I do is I divide my 5 into my 32. Goes in there 6 times with 2 left over, 2/5. So that if I would divide 4/5 by 1/8, 1/8 will go in there 6 2/5 times. Let's try a division now with mixed fractions. What I need to do here is to do the same thing to start this one off as I did our multiplication. We have to convert each of those mixed fractions into complete fractions. So I have 8 times 1 plus 7, which is 15 then, over 8, divided by, now I'm going to have to make this divisor a complete fraction. I'll have 3 times 1 plus 1, which would be 4/3. Now, I'm dividing 4/3 into this. What I have to do is invert the divisor, then multiply. That would give me then 15/8 times 3/4, which would be equal to then 45 over 32. That is improper. I can reduce that down. 32 goes in once with 13 left over. 13/32. Okay. Now, my answer is 1 13/32. That means if I was to divide 1 1/3 into 1 7/8, I would have an answer of 1 13/32. Now let's try a word problem. On Block 3, Unit 3, Fractions, Multiplication, Division, on Assignment Sheet 6, you have some word problems there. Let's just try one of those. Say number 3, for example. It says a plane traveled 12 miles in 2 2/5 minutes. What is the plane's rate? We know that the plane traveled 12 miles, and we want to divide that by 2 2/5. 2 2/5. In other words, there's the miles. It's traveled in 2 2/5 minutes. We want to find out how many miles it traveled in 1 minute. So we would divide this into the 12, and that would be our rate per minute. Now, I can change this to a fraction by dividing by 1. I changed this 12 to a fraction. That means I have to come over here now and change this 2 2/5 to a complete fraction. To do that, I take 5 times 2 plus 2, which would give me then 12/5. I'm dividing then 12 over 1 by 12/5. Okay. Now, what I have to do is invert my divisor and multiply. I'll have 12 then over 1 times 5 over 12, which would be equal to, then multiply across the top and across the bottom. I will have then what, 60 over 12, which is equal to 5. Now that would be 5 miles in 1 minute. Now, in conversions, we'll do some more work with this later, but in conversions, if I wanted to find out how many miles per hour that was, you see, I'm talking about traveling 5 miles in 1 minute. If I want to convert that to miles per hour, what I would have to do is multiply it times a constant. What I have to do is multiply. I want to have minutes on the opposite side and hours on the other. Now, I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. What I would do here is that my minutes are going to cancel, and I'll have 5 times 60, which is equal to 300. And I've got miles left and I've got hours, so I would have 300 miles per hour. So I'm going 300 miles in 1 hour. That can have good application. We'll work more with conversions later on in the program.